I'll never forget the day I came back from vacation and realized my life had turned into some bizarre courtroom drama that I never asked for. You see, my wife and I had taken what was supposed to be a quiet 2-week holiday down in Costa Rica. I was picturing hammocks, slow afternoons, a couple of beers by the ocean, maybe even a sloth or two hanging out above us in the rainforest. And for the most part, that's exactly what it was. I left my little ranch back home thinking it'd be waiting for me, just as I left it when I got back. But what I didn't know, what I couldn't possibly imagine, was that back home, a certain devil in yoga pants was about to turn my entire world upside down. Her name? Let's call her Cheryl. She was the president of our HOA. And if you've ever had the pleasure of dealing with a power-hungry HOA president, you probably already know where this is going. Cheryl took one look at my ranch sitting quiet, gates locked, nobody there, and decided it was free real estate. In her head, she must have thought, oh, perfect. I'll just rent this place out, pocket some cash, and slap the HOA stamp of approval on it. Now, mind you, she didn't ask. She didn't call. She didn't even bother leaving a note. She just broke into my property, brought in strangers with suitcases, and started running it like it was some knockoff Airbnb. She even went as far as to put up fake HOA-authorized signs at my gate like she was running a boutique resort. When I pulled into my driveway 2 weeks later, I almost thought I'd parked at the wrong place. There were tire tracks all over my gravel drive, barbecue grease smeared across my patio, and my barn door, my old weathered barn door, looked like it had been ripped off its hinges and propped back like some cheap Instagram backdrop. And then I saw it. Kids in my pool. Not my kids. Kids I had never seen in my life. Their parents? They were lounging under my gazebo with their drinks like they owned the deed to the place. I stood there frozen, my jaw locked, until one of the women looked up at me, waved lazily, and said, "This still burns me. Oh, you must be the groundskeeper. Can you bring us some more towels?" That was it. That was the moment something in me snapped. I walked right up to her and said, "Ma'am, I own this place." You should have seen her face. Her fake tan cracked, her smile twitched, and then she had the audacity to laugh. She tells me, "Oh no, this was booked through the HOA rental program. Everything's cleared with the community board." Steam was practically coming out of my ears. I told them they had 10 minutes to grab their overpriced knockoff bags and get the hell off my land. And just as they're shuffling, out, Cheryl herself rolls up. Sun hat, clipboard, cucumber water in hand, strutting like she's the CEO of stolen property. She starts spewing nonsense, talking fast about idle property clauses and temporary allocation like she's some kind of legal scholar. I didn't listen to a word of it. I just smiled, nodded, and said, "Cool. I'll see you in court." She laughed. That laugh, man. She thought I was bluffing. She thought I'd stomp around, maybe cuss at the wind, and then crawl back into my tractor shed and sulk. But I didn't sulk. I called up the meanest dog I knew, my old buddy from college, a litigation hound named Marcus. Marcus once made a Fortune 500 CEO cry on the stand, so when I told him my HOA president broke into my ranch, impersonated ownership, and rented it out to strangers, his exact words were, "Bro, I haven't eaten this good in months." We filed suits so thick the courthouse had to bring in an extra clerk just to process all the attachments. Photos, testimonies, highlighted HOA bylaw violations, we had it all. Cheryl, on the other hand, decided to double down. She stood in front of the HOA board like some cartoon queen and said, "We acted within our interpretation of the idle property clause. This was a misunderstanding, not a crime." Interpretation, my ass. That clause was meant for lawn maintenance, not turning somebody's land into a vacation package in Florida. Then came the cease and desist letters, 20 of them. Every guest who had set foot on my ranch got a personalized letter from our legal team. One couple even tried to come back to finish their week. Marcus personally greeted them at the gate with a court order in one hand and a police escort in the other. The local paper caught wind of it and ran a headline that read, "HOA President Turns Ranch into a Resort." Cheryl's smug little mask started to slip when reporters showed up at her front door asking whether it was about money or power. She panicked and called an emergency HOA meeting to calm things down. She walked in with her typed statement, trying to keep her voice steady while the neighbors peppered her with questions. "Why'd you break into a locked gate? Who gave you the right to list his property on Rental Mojo? Did you seriously charge? Guess a hay tax?" And right in the middle of it, Marcus walked into the room. Crisp suit, eyes blazing, and he said loud enough for everyone to hear, "We'll see you in court. Unless you're ready to settle right now with a full apology, full payout for damages, and Cheryl's resignation." You could feel the air get heavy in that room. Cheryl tried to play innocent, tried to cry a little, claimed she was just raising funds for the community. But the courtroom wasn't buying it. Judge McKenna, an old rancher himself, sat there with his jaw clenched, staring at her like she'd just spit on his boots. "You mean to tell me," he drawled, "you broke into this man's private property, rented it out like a hotel, and now you're asking for sympathy because you thought it was for the greater good?" Cheryl's lawyer, a sweaty little man, who looked allergic to honesty, mumbled something about ambiguous clauses and community interpretations. The judge didn't flinch. "Ma'am, you ever seen a trespass charge stack up next to impersonation of ownership and fraudulent leasing? Because you're about to." And then Marcus dropped the hammer. He pulled out the financial trail. Turns out Cheryl had opened a separate bank account labeled HOA Retreat Fund. Every dime the guests paid went straight into it. And guess whose name was on the withdrawals? Cheryl. She used that money to pay off her credit cards, build herself a brand new deck, and even booked a spa weekend while I was back home scrubbing barbecue grease off my patio. The whole courtroom gasped when Marcus read out loud an email Cheryl had sent her sister a week before. "Found a way to make easy money while the ranch guy's gone." You could have heard a pin drop after that. Cheryl stammered, muttered about coincidences, but it was over. Outside the courtroom, the neighborhood finally woke up. People whispered, "She made us pay dues for years, and all the while she's been renting barns like Airbnbs." Another neighbor shouted, "Where's my refund for that emergency drone upgrade she promised?" Cheryl started hiding from the press, wearing hoodies, ducking behind bushes, deleting every Facebook post where she'd ever looked smug. Meanwhile, Marcus and I were gearing up for Phase 2, asset extraction. This wasn't just about suing. I wanted everything back and then some. The day of the verdict was pure poetry. Cheryl walked into court wearing a blazer 2 sizes too big, makeup smeared like she'd lost a fight with karma. Her lawyer looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Marcus, on the other hand, strolled in sipping a latte like it was brunch. We weren't just suing for trespassing, we stacked those claims higher than Everest. Criminal trespass, unlawful, rental, property damage, emotional distress, financial fraud, illegal entry, and impersonating a property manager without a license. The judge didn't blink. Guilty on all counts. You could feel the oxygen leave Cheryl's lungs. The ruling hit her like a meteor shower of justice. She was ordered to pay back every dime she'd pocketed, plus triple damages. Her bank accounts were frozen, her car seized. That fancy new deck she built with stolen money was ordered to be demolished and resold. The cherry on top? The court ordered the HOA itself dissolved, pending a federal audit. Turns out Cheryl had been skimming HOA funds for years, and now every homeowner she'd ever bullied was lining up for their own piece of her downfall. I saw her outside the courthouse afterward, shaking, begging reporters not to take her photo. One journalist asked, "Do you regret impersonating the ranch owner?" And Cheryl, in her most poetic moment of disgrace, muttered, "I thought he wouldn't find out." Oh, I found out. Within a month, her house had a foreclosure sign out front, her shiny SUV got towed from a Walmart parking lot, and her social media was turned into a graveyard of mocking comments. Queen of HOA crime. Should have minded. Your business. Airbnb Karen. Even her own sister wouldn't let her move in. As for me, I decided to turn my ranch into a real rental, but not for money, for good. Charity events, veterans retreats, foster kids, local fairs. And every single event starts the same way, with a framed photo of Cheryl's court mugshot hanging right by the entrance. Underneath it, a sign reads, "This ranch is proudly HOA-free. Trespassers will be sued to dust. So now I'll leave it to you." What do you think? Was the punishment fair or too harsh? Do you believe an HOA president should have the power to twist community bylaws to serve themselves, or should homeowners fight back with everything they've got? Drop your thoughts down in the comments, because this one's bound to stir some debate.